You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey guys, welcome back to another Friday edition of the podcast. It's Clark from 5cardguys.com. And you can also find me at 5cardguys on Instagram, YouTube, and on Facebook. Just a quick solo intro from me today because we've got a special guest interview for this episode. His name is Josh at Inspired Sports Cards on Instagram. And you'll see why we asked him to be on the pod in just a second, other than being one of our earliest supporters of Cards to the Moon. But quickly, off the top, if you hear this episode on Friday, July 25th, when it comes out, that means we are a week away from the National. And yes, I will be there in Chicago to attend for the very first time. If you're a loyal listener like Josh, and you're also planning to be at the National, DM us at 5cardguys or at Cards to the Moon, and maybe we can meet up and record a little something for the pod while we're there at the biggest card show in the world. Also, if you're DMing us and you've already been to the National in previous years, I would love to hear some of your top tips for having a good time at the show. All right, like I said, short and sweet. Now here's the interview with Josh at Inspired Sports Cards. Enjoy. So we got another special guest on the pod today, and I'd like to also add right off the bat that he's been one of our early listeners and supporters of our podcast. So it's definitely my pleasure to have Josh on the show today. He's also started producing some interviews on his Instagram account with other hobbyists in a fairly unique format, which we'll definitely discuss today as well. But before we do, you can find him at Inspired Sports Cards. And if you check out his bio on his IG page, you'll find out that he's also an avid baseball card collector. So that's one reason why I'm sure this conversation will go really well, because we're all baseball card collectors on this pod first and foremost. But then again, he's also a Yankees fan, which if you see our promo clip for this podcast, he's wearing a Yankees hat. And we're Blue Jays fans. I'm wearing a Jays hat right now. And we're battling it out for first in the AL East division. So we'll see how this conversation goes. Okay. All kidding aside, we were just talking off air how, the AL East division is always the most competitive, always the most difficult. And we're just saying how we like it that way. It's always fun to see the competitive side of things and come close to playoff time. Man, it's exciting either way, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, without further ado, you just heard him. Josh, welcome to the podcast. Awesome to have you on.
Thanks, Clark. Long-time fan of the pod, and with you and Hyung and everybody, it was one of the first hobby-focused podcasts that I found and came across, and I could tell immediately just from the way that you conducted each pod on the Tuesdays and Fridays where you do it. Immediately, I think you're very knowledgeable about the hobby, both you and Hyung and John. And the other guys who joined too. Immediately, I was just gravitated towards it because it just sounded really knowledgeable. And I think the mix of the education about the hobby, taking, I think, a good stance of it and not being too biased one way or the other, and the entertainment value, it's just a great listen. And it's not easy to captivate somebody's attention for 30 minutes, let alone 60 minutes, like a lot of your episodes are. So thank you for everything that you do. I know it's a lot of work putting in these. As you mentioned, I've started doing some on my Instagram stories. Yeah. And even just those ones, I mean, they're 5 to 7 minutes long each, but it probably takes me about a half hour to an hour just to put those together. I can only imagine, longer format, and also ones that are more consistent, being weekly or, twice a week.
No, I appreciate all that positive feedback and those comments. And we appreciate you, of course, and all our listeners just tuning in week after week. And it makes that makes things a lot easier for us to do it consistently, because we know that there are people listening.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's always welcome. So thank you for those kind words. But yeah, I just want to shift the focus back to you, our guest. And usually I like to start from the beginning of our guest's hobby journey. So when did you first start, collecting cards? Do you always stay in the hobby, or did you get back into it fairly recently, like many of us did around COVID times?
Yep. Yeah. Got back into it recently. And it actually wasn't during COVID. It was right after it. But
Okay.
kind of take it back a little bit. I'll be 46 here in a couple weeks. My birthday's on July
Nice.
24th. So coming up here pretty soon. And, so I was right around that like 88 to 92
Yes.
range of prime collecting. So
Yeah.
right over here in my closet, in my office, I have the old binder, the Jose Canseco, Nolan Ryan, Will Clark,
Yeah.
Don Mattingly, all those guys, and the old cards that I thought, like we all think, would have made us rich by now. First, that wasn't the
Yeah.
case. So, 88 to 92, maybe 93-ish, big, like I said, Will Clark fan was one of my top PC players at the time. And with the other guys that I mentioned there too, like a lot of us,
Yeah.
And then, right around middle school, just stopped. Standard story with that, stopped collecting around 93 and took a break all the way until 2022. And, I grew up in New York. I live out in Colorado now. So I'll go back and, visit my folks and everything. And they're in the same house that we grew up in. And there's still the same childhood home that we grew up in,
Nice.
and my bedroom there. So whenever I go home, sometimes I'll go up there and be like, hey, just what's in there? Anything maybe like our kids would want from when I was a kid. Most of the case, not right.
Right.
They would want. But I did, one day I looked into the closets of the room where I grew up in, and it was like a time capsule. It was like nothing moved. So it was, the long boxes of cards, the old school way of collecting with the big. I have a big like baseball plastic case thing that divided up by teams. And it was all there. And actually, what's funny is one of the boxes was labeled investment cards. And again, too, and out of all the cards, these are going to be the ones that I'm going to be able to retire when I'm 30. And I mean, the most one now that with the highest value maybe was like $10.
Okay.
But, it's the nostalgia. And I think it was a great reminder, now as I've gotten back into it over the last 3 years. Value has a lot of different meanings to it. There's value from a nostalgia and just loving that card for maybe the history of it. Like, for example, I have a Bernie Williams minor league card that's still in really good condition. That was one of the cards that was in my closet, growing up as a kid, because I went to a baseball camp and it's signed in ballpoint pen, but the Albany Colony AA Yankees were in Albany where I grew up. And we went to this baseball camp. And they would bring some of those players there during the baseball camps over the summer to meet with us. And, they'd throw us balls that we could hit and play catch with us and everything. And Bernie was one of those. And right around 88, 89 timeframe, I still have that card. I'll never get rid of that.
Yes.
I'll never get rid of it. I'll never sell that. That value is really priceless, to me. And I hope to pass that down to my son one day, as well as the other cards and whatnot too. But, so it's that kind of thing. And then there's value about, just the straight financial value on it based on the market and what's going on.
Yes.
Right now. But so anyways, I took a break, end of 2022 is when I got all those cards, and my dad was super nice at the time to take all those cards and ship them back here to Colorado, because if I tried to bring those on the plane, somebody would thought I was crazy. All those boxes of cards and everything, hundreds of them, thousands probably, but he was nice enough to ship them back. And, I just started rifling through them, and nostalgia was just waving over me. And I was just like, this is amazing. So then I started taking it a step further, and I started looking up, I'm like, what is grading? I've never heard of this before.
Right.
Just started looking at it. So I was looking at a card, that one of the cards I pulled out, it's like 87 Topps, Bo Jackson, for example. And I was like, okay, so here's grading. If it's a 6 or a 5 or below, it's probably not worth too much. But if it's a PSA 10, there could be some value here. I never got to the point of really shipping cards off for grading. Actually, in my 3 years, I've only graded 5 cards.
Okay, interesting.
Most of the slabs I have are just ones that I've bought.
Right.
And the ones that I did grade, I took a little bit of dip my toe into the water of prospecting, realized real quickly it's not for me. But Actually, I got, I got pretty, I think, lucky with it. It was Spencer Jones with the Yankees.
Right.
And I got redemption cards that I bought off eBay. So all that time to get those redemptions redeemed.
Yeah.
Actually got the cards in the mail. Then I went to my LCS and we're like, hey, what do you think I should do with these? And we're like, let's send them off to SGC. And we got them graded. And then last year when he was starting in the spring training and he had a good start, I decided I want to move these and then move into a bigger card. So I ended up selling those 5 and moved into a Derek Jeter 96 Topps Chrome refractor. And it was a great move. And everybody was a win all around.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you telling the whole backstory, and that was an amazing Bernie Williams story that you shared. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's those kind of things where I hope with collectors nowadays. I mean, there's a million different ways to collect, and I was chatting with somebody on Instagram the other day, and it's just a good reminder: there's no right or wrong way to collect.
Good point.
There's people's opinions, and then there's different people's ways that's going to make you happy. But at the end of the day, it needs to be fun.
Yeah.
And I realize some folks, like I think this is your full-time job, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I fully understand that. And that's, that's awesome. And maybe one day as a second career, I would probably be interested in doing something like that. That would be related to the hobby, And I think at that point, it's like a mix of the fun collecting side of things. And then how do you run it as a business too?
Right.
And really just being smart about it,
Yeah. Absolutely. And you know what? I'm still learning that balance. Because some days it seems like more work and the other days it seems more fun. So yeah, it depends on how you balance things out. But that's a great point. And as long as you have fun, that's, I think, even with creating content, like hobby content, like for me, what we're doing now, just connecting with people I would never connect with otherwise outside of the hobby. This is such a great experience just to get to know people in the hobby space. And I know we've mentioned that a million times in our podcast, but it really is one of the best parts of the hobby.
It really is. And that was one of the biggest pleasant surprises about getting back into this. I got back into it for the cards, just the pure enjoyment of the cardboard and finding a way to show my fandom through collecting the cards and I'm a player collector, with the 11 players that are listed on my Instagram profile. But yeah, I mean, I think it's, that is the way to do it. You got to have fun with it. You got to have fun.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a good segue into my next question, because I didn't mention that on your bio, you also have written down who you PC. So you said you're a player collector. Do you want to go through that list quickly and why you decided to, some of them are obvious because they're Yankees, but yeah, why you decided to collect those players specifically?
Yeah, definitely. So it's going to be, Judge, Jeter,
of course,
Mattingly, Volpe, Mantle, Jackie Robinson, Hank Aaron, Ohtani, Trout, and Griffey.
Yeah. I guess that helps you simplify in terms of what cards because right now there's so many cards out there, and sometimes you could get easily overwhelmed, especially if you're a new collector or coming into the space. You're like, how many sets are out there? And I think player collecting is one of the best ways to just have that focus in terms of what you want to collect, right?
Yeah, I mean, for me, again, too, there's a million different ways to collect, right? But for me, that brings me the most enjoyment. And with those 11, it spans a lot of different generations. So therefore it brings in a lot of different card brands and card sets and everything. And, I have everything from a 1910, T 206 to 2025 So just that that kind of blows my mind. Just 115 years of cards right there.
Right.
How many brands and how many, and I realized quickly at the end of 22 when I got back into it, I picked up some Peyton Manning cards and this, and I was like, I really need to hone this in because it's just a wide, just a wide area you can go in a million different directions. So I still have that. I like Peyton Manning, but I only have 2 of his cards. And I didn't go much outside of football really, but Peyton Manning, because we're in Colorado and just the Broncos and
makes sense. Yeah.
One of the best quarterbacks we've had in a while. I think it's just looking at the player aspect of it. That list of 11 is slimmed down from about 30. And I created a spreadsheet and there's different criteria, like who do I want to collect and why, and I'm a big Yankees fan. So Yankees made the most sense. So that is going to be the vast majority of the PC players that I But I was like, who are other players that I respect a bunch? So you look at the Jackie Robinsons, the Hank Aaron's, Mickey Mantle. I have a connection with my uncle. He grew up and he actually collected, and he was gracious enough to give me one of his Mantle cards, or a couple of his Mantle cards.
Oh, wow.
66 tops and everything. And again, too, another card that I'll never, ever get rid of or sell because it came from him. And I remember he let me kind of go through his binders, like, hey, why don't you pick out a couple years ago? And I was like, how about this? And like, are you sure? Are you really sure? And he's like, oh, that's my favorite Mantle. And I want you to have it. I want you to have it. Which is what I hope to do with my kids and grandkids in the future as well.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think it meant a lot to me, and I think it probably meant a lot to him to pass along that legacy of a pack pulled 90 or 66 Mickey Mantle tops from the original owner. It's pretty neat, and to have that within the family still. So
definitely that's pretty cool. And even my two young boys, that's what I hope to do in the future. My youngest one's 4. He still doesn't know the concept of keeping cards in good condition. Like he drops it all the time. So I'm like, okay, he's not ready for it. But my older one, who's 8, definitely, I could see he's appreciating cards, Pokemon cards as well, of course, but baseball cards he's into as well. So like it's amazing that something like this, what we like to call a hobby, can be passed down from generation to generation, just like you were definitely saying. But out of curiosity, I want to ask you, because one of the things I did notice, even in your PC list, was the wide variety. Some people like to just collect modern, or even just hone in on prospects, like we were talking about, which is a difficult game to play, right? But or their favorite teams. But you have this wider variety. What would you say is your percentage in terms of vintage versus modern in your collection? Or is it?
Yeah, it's probably it's close to about 20 to 25% vintage. And then the rest would be modern, all depending on what you consider modern. Right? I mean, 80s all the way up through through current. I don't really have much 70s, so it'd be more like 60s and 50s. And then I have like a 29 Churchman Ruth, and then 06, and then other 56 tops. I really, really love that set. A whole bunch, and. But not probably about 20 to 25% vintage, and then the rest modern. Which I think I really would love for you and Hyung to talk about this, I think, at some point, where what is considered vintage. And I know I've seen the debate back and forth. Is it 79? Is it 80? But what do we do 100 years from now? Are we still going to call 1979
Good question.
Vintage? I don't see that happening. So when does it shift? When does it shift? And is it just a personal opinion, or is it a hobby standard?
No, that's a good question. Maybe I'll bring it up. But off the top of my head, I would think that at some point we would have a different name for, the junk wax era. Maybe you just call it the junk wax, the first junk wax era,
ultra vintage,
and then the ultra vintage. Something like that. There's modifiers to the categories now. It might be that way. That's kind of my hunch or my leaning at this moment, but that's a good thing to ponder about. Well, speaking of vintage cards, because I'm been more curious about vintage cards myself. I don't really own any vintage. I've been primarily, like you said, I'm 47, so everything you're sharing about how growing up in the hobby, that just that's kind of my experience too with the junk wax era, and just getting back into it. But lately I've been more curious about vintage, so I've been doing more research on them, before I really take the plunge into buying a few. Jackie Robinson is always on the top of my list because of how iconic he is, not just to cards, but to the game of baseball. So that was an easy one. But even in my preliminary research, I'm learning, things about eye appeal and which particular sets are iconic in terms of you were saying 1956 tops, which looks beautiful, right? So is there anything you look for specifically when it comes to collecting vintage cards, or is it really strictly on players like you mentioned?
I mean, the eye appeal is one of the first things, and
right.
Eye appeal can be subjective, as we know, and
Sure.
I think it's, for me, eye appeal, centering is a big piece of it.
Yes, I've been learning that.
I think the registration as well. I think I fall in the camp of, I'm okay if the corners are a little beat up or the edges are a little beat up, but I like a nice centered. The picture looks nice.
Yeah.
I'm okay with a little bit of creasing.
Okay.
I think with some of the creasing, most of the time you can't see it unless you hold it at a specific light. But I mean, who's going around holding their cards, trying to look at a specific, unless you're trying to grade it or
right
or whatnot. But if you're just looking at it like direct on, you can't really see a crease. I think that's okay. And the other major difference too is going to be from a grading aspect. Like this T206, it's a 2. I'm thrilled with it. I love it.
Yeah.
And the corners are rounded, but it's a nice centered. It's a nice centered picture with a great registration, good picture, and it's 150
beautiful.
Years old, even on the back, Clark, it's on the it's a Sovereign type, so there's all different backs like Polar Bear, Sovereign, Old Mill, etc. This one is considered one of the more rarer backs. It's not the rarest back, but it's a more rare back. It actually even has some tobacco staining on it, if you could see.
Nice. Yeah, it gives a character.
I think it's great.
Right?
I think it's awesome. Now, do you want tobacco staining on this Judge relic?
Right.
But tobacco staining on a card that came in a pack of cigarettes, I think that's kind of cool. I
like that too. Yeah.
So I'm sure you've seen it just too, with the grading, like I talked about. This is a 2 where that's, it's a good looking card for a 2 with the eye appeal, where with the modern and ultra modern, as we all know, the grading with that stuff. So different category with it.
Yes, that's why I'm definitely learning a lot about that. And like some PSA 3s are better than some PSA 4s, and then you could get those 3s at a discount. You're kind of learning all about that in vintage. You mentioned something really quickly, registration. What do you mean by that in terms of in the context of vintage cards?
Yeah. I think with registration, is it blurry or not blurry?
Oh, I see. Okay. Gotcha.
Which again, too, we don't really deal with too much in the modern, ultra modern stuff. Right. With vintage. I think a good example would be like the 48 or 49 leaf cards. The way they were printed and everything, you'll see sometimes, like with Jackie Robinson's card, it kind of looks like there was picture like 2 different printing plates or whatnot, and they just didn't match up.
Yeah, it's like 3D almost. You need 3D glasses to see it.
Yeah, exactly. To me, that's registration. It's something I'm not, an expert with by any means with it, but I feel like that is my understanding of it. Is just, if it just does it not match up? Did the coloring not fall all within the borders?
Right.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Thanks for clarifying that. Another the follow-up question with that, and it's a good segue into something else I wanted to talk about, which is the fact that I just did one of your weekly baseball card trivia on your IG stories. Excellent. And the questions were all vintage related. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I got 1 out of 6 correct. So I obviously I got more research to do on vintage cards. But yeah, go ahead.
The funny thing about that, and I appreciate you participating and taking that too and playing it. The funny thing with those is that for a lot of so I do it every Friday morning with those trivias. I'll post in my IG story, and a lot of the times I'm learning that exact fact for the first time. So I'm looking at it like a way for me to learn more about baseball and more about cards, because I'm forced to do the research to put the trivia out there, and I've gotten a really good response on it. I mean, typically I have about 50 to 75 people that take it each Friday morning.
Nice. Yeah. It's pretty good.
It's fun. Yeah. It creates some good conversation too. But like, oh, I didn't know this. And then we start talking about it through DMs or whatnot, but I try to mix it up. So I'll do like 3 card focused questions, 3 history focused questions. So we're getting some baseball history knowledge and learning about that. Then also learning about, some things with the cards that we didn't know, from before. Or that we didn't know. Some people do nail it. Some people get the 6 out of 6.
I'm sure.
But, it's fun.
Just not me. But But I agree with you. It is a lot of fun just to do these trivia questions, and I like how you use the IG format because it's so interactive. That's one of the best parts of about it. Yeah. So I know before we started the interview off air, you wanted to actually have a trivia question or kind of you have some for me. So I'm ready if you want to do that.
You ready, Clark?
Before you do it, I was just thinking, I'm beginning to know how, Hyung and John feel whenever I do the quiz show segment, because they get a little nervous, and sometimes it's really hard, and I'm beginning to relate. So, but yeah, go ahead. I'm ready. Yes, let's do it.
So I got 5 questions for you, Clark, and multiple choice, just like I do in the Friday morning trivias. And I'll get it kicked off, and I split it up, between some card and history ones. So. First one is, and this is actually from the one this morning, but I know people aren't going to listen to this until a little bit later, but it was the one that I posted this morning. And I'll have to give a shout out to 1956 Topps guy, Matthew. I tried something new this time and asked him hey, would you be interested in kind of collaborating on this? And would you provide some questions, and I'll put it into the format? And he gladly did it. Got me questions, I think, within 10 minutes or so. Amazing. And, thank you, Matthew, for doing this. But this is one of his questions. The only set to include Mickey Mantle, Ted Williams, Jackie Robinson, and Hank Aaron. Is it 1953 Topps, 1954 Topps, 1955 Topps, or 1956 Topps?
So I did the quiz, like I mentioned, so I know the answer, but I'll tell you what I said, which I got wrong. So, I narrowed it down to Topps. Right, I just felt like it was a top set, so that eliminated the Bowman. But I said 1956 Topps, but obviously that was. Oh, sorry, I said 1954 Topps.
54.
But the correct answer is 1956.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
1956.
That was a hard one.
Yep.
That was a hard one.
A lot of cool, like that era. If for those that haven't really researched that time frame, that is a really interesting era of baseball. And as we know, it's when Topps kicked off, and Bowman and everything too, before 1950, but just what went on there between those two companies, and then Bowman eventually being acquired by Topps, and then contractual disputes. So Jackie not being in some of those cards, and Mickey and everything. It's really interesting. Yep.
Yeah. Well, speaking before you go to the next question, I was just reorganizing the studio space in my basement. I have some books, and I don't know if you ever read Mint Condition by Dave Adamson, but it goes into the history of that, and it's a pretty interesting read.
I learned about Iowa. Dave brought that up, I think, recently, and I saved it on my eBay, so I haven't bought it quite yet, but that's one of the 2 or 3 I have in queue.
Interesting read. Yeah, there you go. Okay, I'm ready for the next one.
What position did Ty Cobb mainly play? And I won't do a multiple choice because it's just the position.
Yeah. Because Ty Cobb, I obviously know primarily as a hitter. So it's like, what position did he play? I want to say, my gut is saying outfield, but I feel like he was I'm going to say pitcher, but my gut's saying outfield.
Outfield, center field.
Okay, there you go. So I should go with my gut more often.
There you go. Next one is, who is the other player on the Aaron Judge 2017 Rookie Stars Heritage card? Is it Gleyber Torres, Tyler Austin, Garrett Cole, or Brett Gardner?
On which card was it?
It's the 2017 Rookie Stars Heritage card. So if you can picture it, it's him and this other guy, and it's kind of got like burlap bag, heritage, throwback. I think that was 67, maybe. Was the heritage throwback to it? Yeah.
Gotcha. So sorry, the multiple choice was Gleyber Torres,
Garrett Cole, Tyler Austin, or Brett Gardner.
I'm gonna go with Tyler Austin.
You're right. That's him.
Yes,
that is him.
I remember Gleyber. You know what? Gleyber Torres. I was, when he was with the Cubs as a Cubs prospect, I was gonna pick him up. I believe he was earlier, so I knew Gleyber Torres was out of it. Definitely Brett Gardner's a lot older, and so process of elimination, and I think Tyler Austin was like I don't remember that card, but it seemed like he would be in that rookie class too.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting too. It's another reminder on, I think, kind of the risks of prospecting. I mean,
right.
Look at the two guys on that card. You have Aaron Judge, who he is now, and Tyler Austin. I honestly don't know where he is. Right now. So
right.
It's interesting.
We talked about that in a recent pod, Hyung and I, about dual autograph cards. It might have been today, actually. We released it today with Bobby Witt and Jack Caglione. And 10 years down the line, you don't know. Like, they're great players now, but if one of them doesn't do well, it just tanks the value of that specific card, right?
Right. Is that the one where they're kind of chatting back and forth to each other?
Yes, the inscriptions. Yeah, so we talked about that. It's fun.
Kind of neat. That's cool. All right, number 4. How long was the shortest Major League Baseball game ever?
How long? Okay.
I'll give you some multiple choice on that.
Sure.
We'll say 31 minutes, 41 minutes, an hour and 21 minutes, or 51 minutes.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. I want to say it's either 31 or 41. So I'm going to go with, I feel like 31.
51 minutes, Clark.
No way.
Minutes. Yep.
Okay.
And 1919, it was the Giants versus the Phillies. 1919.
Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah. I wonder if there's like a, even now, there's got to be, I guess it's more about innings played before they call it off or replay the game or something like that, right? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
All right. And we'll bring it up with number 5, the last one. What is the card number of the 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle?
Oh man, I should know this.
I'll give you a hint. It's on my wall behind me.
Okay. I don't know if I could see that, but you know what? It's coming back to me. I didn't even look at your wall, but 311.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
So just for everybody listening, I do not have a 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle on my wall.
What do you have?
It's
I can't even see it.
My favorite band is 311, has been.
Oh, I see.
1996. Okay. So I have a 311 poster from when they were here in Colorado. Yeah.
Nice. That was honestly, that was a pure guess. Like, not a guess, and I knew it was the 300s, but it's one of those things like I've seen it somewhere, and I just to recall it.
Yep.
But I like it.
Yep. There you go.
That was it. Okay.
That's it. You're pretty good.
Okay.
You did pretty good.
Okay. Yeah. I'm surprised with myself.
You passed.
Just barely. Yeah. So there you go. And you say you do that every Friday mornings on your IG stories, right?
Yeah.
You have been doing that?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Every Friday morning. I think one of the things I've learned from you guys, and then from Iowa Dave and Stacking Slabs and those guys, like, the consistency with content is key. And
yes.
I think, it's okay if there's going to be breaks, and, life happens, right? And in life, there's a lot more things way more important than
Absolutely.
a hobby, but life happens. And, sometimes if you go on vacation or other stuff comes up with your family or friends or whatnot, but I try to be consistent with that. And I think we'll talk about the other thing I've been putting in my IG stories here in a little bit too, but trying to be consistent with it, and also to kind of have it be like a quick hit in a way. Yeah. So take somebody like a minute to do the trivia. It's fun, get good feedback on it, and creates engagement and collaboration. And it's fun,
I love it. Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. It's the most important, but it's also the most difficult to be consistent like that too. But I guess that's what, even in our previous podcast episodes, we always talk about the key, or what really helps to being consistent is, as long as you continue to enjoy the hobby for what it is, that makes it easier to want to do things like that. Right. And, I know you just probably heard our 300th episode recently. Yeah. And
congratulations.
Thank you. And it's just, it's like you just do it consistently, but you don't think about like how many you're doing. You just kind of do it, and then you all of a sudden realize, oh wow, we hit the 300 number, and how it's still fun. And we're like, we could probably do this for another 100 at least. We'll just keep going until things change.
Yeah, absolutely. I really, you guys just do such a great job. And I think, kind of a neat thing would be, hey, on episode 311, what if you do something about the Mantle 52? That'd be kind
of great idea. Yeah, great idea. I didn't even think about that, but we'll do a Mickey Mantle special for 311.
Cool. Yep.
All right, and actually, I really only have one more question, and you kind of alluded to it. The other thing you do on your IG story is to publish interviews with guests about their collection. Just wondering how that came about, like that, just doing it in that format, and And the follow up to that is, I believe you've only primarily had Yankees fans or collectors on the pod.
Yep.
Will you be opening that up to other card collectors in the future?
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
100%. 100%. Yeah, and the way it came up is again too, I was kind of piggybacking off of doing the trivia through IG stories. It's like, this is a really, like, Instagram does a really good job of giving the right tools to us to make it pretty simple to do those things, and the graphics and the texting and the way you could, put the different filters on it and everything too. It's really pretty slick and pretty easy for the most part. I initially started looking at YouTube and I was like, maybe at some point, but not right now. It's more than what I want to do at the moment. So I was like, what's a way where I can highlight collectors, create, again, collaboration and engagement and some really good conversations and make it all about the cards, And so I was like, I think I could do this through the stories, like I do with the trivia. So I started reaching out to some folks and got some good response. And I'd be like, that sounds like a lot of fun. Let's do it. So I'll send them 5 to 7 questions, through Instagram for them to send me a video response back to. They'll send me the video clips back through direct messaging and Instagram, and then I'll create the format like you see in the episode. Right. And the first 5, and I want to shout out just the 5 that have been so awesome to collaborate and do this with me. But, the first 5 is all about Yankees, and I think I'll do one or 2 more that are Yankees focused, and then I'm going to branch out. And I posted a poll, but like, hey, what would you like to see as far as other focuses from collectors?
Okay.
In a second too. Yeah, making it all about Yankees. And there's, the questions that you can see in one slide, and then there's the video, which I've learned with Instagram stories too, they have to be less than 60 seconds or else they post it. So I've had to give that heads up, to interviewees as well. And it's been a lot of fun. And
that's great.
Really great response from it. And, it's very kind of the watcher or listener could be very a la carte with it. So one of the cool things about it is that if you go back to them on my page, which I put them in the highlight section of my page. So that was one of the things I was thinking about. I was like, okay, these stories expire in 24 hours. How can people go back and watch them? So if you go on my main Instagram page, I made a highlight out of them, and it's just that specific episode. So you can go back, but you can flip through it. You can flip through it just like you can with stories, regular stories on Instagram. Just flip through it. Like, I want to go back to that question real quick, or watch that video, watch them talking about that card. And it's really quick. It's pretty slick versus like, again, YouTube's great and everything, but you got to scroll and try to find exactly
that's true,
where you want to go to. So I really like the fact that people can go back or if somebody says, hey, you should go back and check out what this guy talked about with this specific card. It's really easy to go back to it.
Totally agree. Yeah, no, I love that feature of it for sure. And like you said, some of the questions are just kind of jump out at you for whatever reason, because you're a certain type of collector or you like that player. So yeah, that's easy. And then, like when you first gave me a heads up about it, I just assumed that would be like podcast forms. I'm like looking on Apple Podcasts, I'm looking on Spotify, I'm like, Inspired Sports Cards, Josh at Inspired Sports Cards, you couldn't find it. And then I asked you, I'm like, where is it? And then you mentioned it was on IG Stories, which I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I remember like just kind of like, thinking that, that's a cool format to try something like that with. So, and to your point, if it was on YouTube or even if it was on podcast form, it's more of a time investment, which a lot of people don't have, right? I know with podcasts, like a lot of people do listen to it on their commute, because, they got that time or while they're mowing their lawn. I've heard that people listen to our podcast while mowing their lawn. But, when you're on social media, like even myself, most of the time, you're just like on it really quickly, just kind of scrolling. And this is a great way to just get some information, valuable information to the people that are looking at your social media. So it's pretty cool.
Thanks, Clark. I really appreciate it. And I think, I realize it's going to be tricky for those folks that maybe want to listen to it in their car. So maybe in the future, I'll figure out a way to get them uploaded in the other formats or whatnot. But that's why I saved them first and foremost for people to go back and watch them. But maybe I can take those stories and somehow turn it into maybe YouTube eventually, or Apple Podcasts, or
just weave all those answers into one clip. You could do that later on, right? And once you have the time,
but if I can too, I do want to shout out the 5 that
go ahead.
I've done the interviews with. So it'll be Short Print a Day, the Judge Collection, the _ New York _ Card Collector, Mattingly 23 Vintage, and then Greg Jeter fan from France, which is
nice.
All of them were just amazing, really great content. They were just very awesome to partner with, and it's been a pleasure.
That's cool. And it's a funny story about Greg Jeter fan, who you just named last. I was in France with my family for a family vacation was it a month ago now? Yeah. And I went to the Paris card show. It just happened to be happening there. I promised my wife it wasn't because I chose that weekend or that week to go to Paris, but happened to be there. And my wife was said, I just spent had a few hours to go by myself. And then I was mentioning, of course, like you see a lot of soccer cards, you see a lot of F1, and you do have a few baseball. And then Greg Jeter fan messaged me saying like, "Oh, I wish I knew that I was at this card show," because he was there apparently. And it's like, there are baseball fans here, and the fact that he's from France and he's a diehard Yankees collector, that was pretty interesting. And when I saw your IG story, that was cool.
His Jeter collection is incredible, and just like the other collectors I mentioned that have done the interviews too, just their collections are really awesome, and just really great advice on those interviews. So go back to my page and go to the highlights section of my main profile page on Instagram, and you can go back and watch those episodes.
Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely include a link to your IG account on the show notes when this comes out. But we usually end off our show with our regular weekly segment we call Pick One. I think this is going to be for a Friday edition where we don't do our Pick One. But, for you, I know you have a Pick One prepared for myself and the listeners. So, why don't you take it away? And that'll be the perfect way to end this episode.
Okay, great. And let's see. Hopefully I'll make Hyung, he'll appreciate this one too. So Hyung, message on Instagram with your thoughts on this one as well.
Yeah.
Well, Clark, here we go. So we got 2 cards, 2 of the biggest stars in the MLB as we know right now, Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani. Yeah. So we have Ohtani's 2018 Bowman Chrome Auto, the batting, we all know. PSA 10 recently went on July 3rd for $23,500. Buy it now.
Base or
base?
Base
on 130 point. Now again, too, who knows the whole backstory? That, but based on 130 point, went for $23,500.
Oh my!
$2,000, and quite the negotiation skills to get it to $23,500.
Wow.
So. Would you like one of those, or would you like 5 Aaron Judge 2013 Bowman Chrome Autos PSA 10 sold on June 29th, one of them for $4,650? Would you like 5 of those, or one Ohtani?
That's a good one.
And here's the thing, and I'll preface it too, because I know it's not just apples to apples on this. I do, realize the Judge is his first Bowman, even though it doesn't have the first Bowman logo on it. It's his first Bowman.
Yeah.
The Ohtani, I realize, is his rookie card, but there's all the different parameters around it too. And I looked at pop reports and everything, and I know Judge has the refractor, so I was curious about that too, because Ohtani does not have a batting pure base refractor.
Right.
2018. He's got the blue and everything else.
Orange, yeah.
So a Judge refractor on June 8th went for $12,000. Buy it now. PSA 10. So even with that, you could get 2 of those base refractor, or one base non-refractor auto of Ohtani.
Wow. Okay. When you told me the PSA 10, I was bracing myself because loyal listeners of the pod knows that I had the BGS 9.5 refractor, 2013 Bowman Chrome Auto, which I sold way too early, of course. But that's lessons learned in the hobby always when you sell too early. But And I also have obviously a Ohtani story where I sold the Topps Chrome way too early. So
$500,
so,
I think, right?
Yes, 500, and now it's going for five figures at least. But so it's one of those things like I've had, both those experiences. So I'm kind of like, like with Ohtani and Judge. If it was one or the other, I'm like, I don't want to get burned again by this player, so it's an easy choice. So for me personally, it's harder, but I think Ohtani is he's going to be iconic. He's going to be special. Even if something happened now, like he will be in the history books for Major League Baseball. I think his cards will have a certain baseline in value. So Ohtani's at that status. At the same time, I can't shake off the feeling that it's so hyper inflated because there's such hyper demand for it, understandably so. And I'm always waiting for it to, to correct itself even ever so slightly. Yeah. And the running joke on our pod is, there's not going to be that time where it's like it just continues to go up, as crazy as
right now.
Yeah, right. And even now, like I had to kind of double check. Was that the base price, the 23,000? And that's incredible to know that that's what it's going for now. But at the same time, I've doubted Judge too many times. And, in terms of like him staying healthy and, I'm fully on board with Judge. And I think he's at that status too, or very, very close to it where, if his career ended now, like he'll go down certainly in the Yankees history books. But, even so with Major League Baseball. So I'm really comparing about the value. Like, would I rather have 5 of the base Judge cards, or one of the Ohtani? I'm going with the Judge. Yeah, I think it just got each base has room to grow. I think if you listen to our last maybe 2 months of our podcast, Hyung always used Aaron Judge as his pick 1 because he just feels like he's still undervalued for some of his cards at least. And there's still plays to make for Aaron Judge rookie cards. Maybe not the Bowman Chrome like you mentioned. That's obviously the top one to get for any diehard baseball card collector. But even then, I think, what'd you say, 4K? I mean, compared to Ohtani's base, right? It's if Ohtani continues to do, if Judge continues to do Judge-like things, I think that has room to grow still, as incredible as that might sound. So for me, give me the 5 Judge. I'm stacking up.
Okay. No, but it's I mean, you got to think about liquidity, I think too, because it's 1 card versus having 5, and if you sell 4 of them, you still have 1.
Yes.
But yeah, it's really interesting. And again, too, that 23.5 number, it was on 130 point, verified and everything. But who knows the backstory? Yeah. Seems like that's kind of high, pretty high, really high for the base. Considering Blues went for, I think a blue 8.5, 9. I don't even think necessarily went for that not too long ago. But again, too, we all know his market is just like nothing we've ever seen before. Yeah. And I don't know. It's been a roller coaster over certain points, but then also it just seems like it's a moonshot too, at some points. So I don't know. It's really interesting.
Which one are you going with? If you could eliminate your Yankee buys, which one are you going with?
Yeah, so I collect both of them, right? And,
yes, that's right.
Man, I do have the 23 or not the 23, the 13 Judge refractor auto and a 9.5.
Okay.
Very happy with it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would pay 23.5 for a base auto. I just have a hard time stomaching that in a way. Yeah. But I mean, who knows? It could just continue to go up too, right? So who knows? Man, that's a tough one. I don't have the Ohtani Bowman Chrome. If I had that kind of money to spend on a card, which I don't, I would say I'd probably go with the Ohtani.
Ohtani, wow. Okay, that's interesting.
I think since I have the Judge, and I'm looking at it from a collector standpoint, but then that way I would have, since I have the refractor of Judge, then I would have the Ohtani too, And
that's good.
I'd probably make a move to consolidate other cards, into that.
To make it? Yeah, for sure. The other thing I was thinking about while you're talking was like the PSA 10 play, like I for that much money, I think personally, I would want to get like a lesser, even a BGS grade, but a color parallel if it's comparable in terms of price. You know what I mean? Like a BGS 8 blue, if it was 23, I'm just making numbers up, but if it was close to 23, 24, I'd probably rather have that than pay that PSA 10 premium for a base auto. So that's kind of my thing as well, and I know it's the same applies for Aaron Judge with the 4 or 5, but it's at a lower price point, so I could stomach that more than a $23,000 base auto of Ohtani.
Yeah, you guys talked about on the pod before. We're having like a colored parallel version versus having the base or a refractor.
Yeah,
you'll take the 8.5 or the 9 or the 8 or whatever it's going to be, colored parallel over a base 10. Because the rarity. But yeah,
good one. Yeah, I mean, like kind of tying it all together. There's so many different ways to collect. People just like collecting PSA 10s. That's the way they do it. They don't like the back slaps.
I love PSA 9s.
PSA 9s, that's a good play too. Yeah, for sure.
Collector's grade, as you'd say, right? But there's a lot of times I look at a 9 and be like, I can't tell. I don't know. And I'm collecting it. I'm not looking to, flip or whatnot. I've sold some cards, but I'm not looking to buy it thinking that I'm going to flip it. It's like I'll sell it later on down the line if I'm looking to have more money to put into other cards,
Yeah.
But I love PSA 9s. I feel like I have some really great PSA 9s that you could not tell.
No, certainly not. Yeah. And like you said, are you more of a collector mindset, or do you have more of a collector mindset versus an investor or flipper mindset? And that determines what you want as well, right? So
you need to save a bunch of money.
A bunch.
Money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway, Josh, this was really fun. Like, you always know when you have a good time when time flies. We're almost we just passed the 50-minute mark, but it didn't feel like it. But it was a long time coming. Appreciate all the support and love that you've given our podcast. And it was a really pleasant conversation that we just had. I had a lot of fun today.
Thank you so much, Clark. I really appreciate you.
Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.